What's up, everybody? Welcome to another Juices Loose podcast. We got just four of us tonight. Robert, I don't know if he told us beforehand. He meant to mention something, I don't know, last week, but I forgot that he's going to go to the live audience film of like Conan. I don't know. I didn't know Conan still did talk shows. So
Really?
yeah, last I knew he was like, I've seen some YouTube videos of him playing video games, but I didn't know he was still.
He's on USA still, right?
I thought it was TBS
Or
the last
TBS.
place
That's what I
I've seen
said.
him.
TBS. That's what I meant.
I didn't know it was still going. But anyway, so I would have had Twilight on if I had known Robert wasn't going to be here. But so we got just the four of us. And I'm going to start. I'm just going to throw something out there and get your guys' take on it. Terrell maybe will have less of a stance or something on it. But I'm just curious. And I think there's many people on both sides. So I'm going to throw this out here and see what you guys think. So Mario Odyssey reviews, I've been seeing, not in all of them, but I'd say enough where it stood out to me of people saying the same thing. And to me, it's complete. I guess I won't get my side. I'll just ask you guys what you think. The people who I've seen, and it's been multiple people in reviews saying that this is Odyssey, the actual true sequel to Mario 64. So whoever wants to go first, what do you think when you hear that? You agree, disagree, and I guess break it down either way. T? Retro?
Yeah, I agree. And there's really particular reasons why I agree with that, but I agree.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, basically, you had Mario 64, obviously, and the next game was Sunshine, which is pretty different because of the water pack, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of altered platforming and stuff in the game. So it wasn't quite the sequel. I would say a lot of Mario fans want it, including myself. I wasn't too happy with the game. But then you get the Galaxy, and those are wildly different as well, because they have the gravity thing, and they have the jumping around on small planets. And then 3D World, you get the 3D World, and then you have the kind of somewhat fixed camera, and you have the timer, and you have the flagpole at the end. So it didn't give you that adventure kind of being able to like explore type.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the first Mario that gets all of those things from Mario 64 correct. Obviously it adds more to it, but it gives that core of Mario 64, which is the spread out worlds, and where you can explore and not have to worry about a timer, and no flagpole. There's some gravity stuff. Oh, I don't want to say that. There's some stuff in there, but
that's pretty early.
It's not the main. Yeah, I guess kind of early. It's not the main thing. The main thing of the game is run around, jump, explore, and do Mario 64. The base Mario 64 is there, and I think that's why people will call it the first true sequel to Mario 64.
All right,
for me,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, sorry. I was just gonna say, for me, I disagree and I agree because I'm running a video right now, which should be up tomorrow, about my favorite Mario games, and I talk about that how I feel people should not discount Sunshine, because to me, Cappy is the evolution of Flood. I feel it's a perfect evolution of it. What Flood did, what I liked in Sunshine, is how it made Mario super agile, and it added a lot of tricks to what he could do, how he could move. And I feel Cappy is the evolution of that. So taking Sunshine out is like removing 2 from 1, 2, 3. I think it's really missing something. For me, Odyssey is the evolution of 64, Sunshine, and then Odyssey. I don't think we should discount Sunshine from that. So it's not a direct sequel in my eyes to just 64 when it comes to that.
Well, I think I'm discounting it, and maybe some other people with me, but Nintendo doesn't. They characterize Sunshine, 64, and Odyssey in the same group. So
yeah, they did that. I didn't see it, but I heard about it.
And the thing about, I don't agree with the evolution of Cappy, because to my knowledge, you don't have to refill Cappy's juice, and you're sitting in the middle of a dry platform area, and you got to run to some.
I'm just talking about like maneuverability, how you can move and how you can do all these tricks and jump and throw him and use him to get around. I mean it in that aspect.
Yeah, they're bouncing off your hat and stuff. It gives them something beyond, because I think all the games, even 3D World other than the triple jump, Mario still has his somersault jump, backflip jump. You know, the basics that Mario 64 set up.
Yeah.
Like base Mario controls, even in Sunshine, were there. It's just they added the flood.
Yeah, if you're looking at it just from a control aspect. Yeah.
But Terrell, you got anything to say?
Personally, I would probably say I probably agree towards what Retro was saying, where I feel like, because that's what I was thinking. I wouldn't say it's a direct sequel, like a sequel to 64. I would say it's more of like a kind of a weird culmination of like 64, Sunshine and Galaxy, just in terms of gameplay mechanics, and
3D
just
World
kind of.
Yeah, there's some 3D World.
Well, yeah, there's 3D World aspects to it in the weird how you're introduced to a world, but like the sections you do are kind of bite sized, especially towards the end of the game. I'm not going to spoil it, but like towards that final area, it starts feeling really like that. Oh, you do a few things, you reward it. Here's the next task, kind of thing for you. Because just to kind of expand on the whole Flood and Cappy comparison. I think the whole idea is just the fact that it expands the kind of movement you can do just by adding, like, because you've added something to Mario's repertoire, it now changes the way you view platforms and obstacles that if you were using like a base Mario, it wouldn't be the same. So it's like an evolution. Go ahead.
When you lose your hat for whatever, whether it's sitting on a scarecrow or whatever, you like immediately feel naked, like you're missing your movesets. Like I noticed that,
especially when you do that thing and you hear the
and
that's
that's definitely throwback to Sunshine to me.
Yeah.
So
another way, just to add that, another way I feel it is why it's an evolution is because when it comes to the scope of the levels, in every game, I feel the levels in general become bigger from game to game, and I really feel like people like to. It's not just a lot of people don't like Sunshine, and therefore instantly discredit it just because they don't like it. But I feel it definitely should not be discounted in this discussion.
Well, I don't dislike Sunshine. It's just it wasn't. Like I said before, it wasn't what I was expecting coming up on Mario 64. You know what I'm saying? It didn't hold up to the gameplay expectations that I had coming up on Mario 64. That's an interesting discussion.
Like, I wonder what you expected, because when I grew up, I got like 64 for Christmas when I was really young when it came out, and then Sunshine. And to me, it felt like the perfect evolution of the game. I'm curious what you expected then.
I didn't expect terrible voice acting, shoddy frame rates, blue coin madness. The game was rushed. I mean, there's no.
They cut out multiple.
They've talked about that.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what
it feels that way to me when I play it.
That's what people always bring up, the blue coins. But it's like you have the blue coins and you have the Korok seeds, for example, Breath of the Wild. Then you have the length where levels got removed, but levels get removed all the time.
No. Here's the thing about the blue coins. I don't have a problem with there being blue coins. The difference in like even Korok seeds, not as much, but the difference with the blue coin, the way they were laid out was very un-Nintendo-like. It felt more like what people complain about when they talk about what's the ukulele, where Banjo-Kazooie, again, when you collected stuff, it made sense, where you went to go get the stuff. And it just seems like the blue coins were thrown everywhere.
And that fleshed out the 120 stars. Like without the blue coins, I forget how many there is, like 80, 90 or something. And it was like, talk about, if it had done that for a few stars. But when I realized that I had to go back and play through every single, not just going to the, it wasn't kind of like a painting or whatever, going to that world. And then I had to choose a star, 1 through 6 or whatever. And in each one of those, the blue coins were in different spots. And to have gotten to that far in the game and then realize, wait, that's how you get 120 stars.
I mean, we're fundamentally not going to agree on this because, first of all, we're from different eras. Like, that was your game. Probably when you, when the GameCube came out, you were what? You're a little bit younger than me, probably what? So you had a different...
19, I think.
Yeah, so that was I was that age for 64. So you know,
Yeah, the thing
we're fundamentally not going to meet when it comes to Sunshine.
Yeah,
let's move on because I want
Yeah.
to give my take on Odyssey and where in that whole true sequel. Now, for me, you know, T brought up the really thing that to me feels like 64 with Odyssey is just kind of like, here's the level. Basically, you don't jump through a painting, but here's the area, and it's a big area, you know, that you can explore and run around in. That to me is really where the 64ness for me goes away, and I think it's next to 3D World as the most un-64 like game. Other than that, just one fact to me, if you look at Galaxy 1 had the big hub world. The paintings were replaced with a blue star. You had to hover. Then you pick, okay, here's the first star in this world. And then it gave you the objective. It showed you it kind of in a little mini cutscene or whatever. It kind of revolved around the area. Galaxy was a little more linear in that you had these smaller areas connected by just jumping through stars. But there was a secret star here or a little challenge within that one level. And then you get it and you go out and then you go back into, you know, the blue star, like jump back into the painting. Now here's star 2. Here's where that's at. Little cutscene showing you what you got to do there. And to me, like, that was the most Mario 64 because Sunshine was set up that same way, but with the flood and the fact that a lot of the objectives were related to cleaning up. You know, there were a lot of duplicates there. I just feel like, to me, if I knew no one else's opinion, I would say Galaxy 1 feels like the most direct sequel to Super Mario 64 based on its structure alone and the stars and the 120 stars. It just feels to me like the most direct sequel. And I was actually shocked when I heard someone say that with T, when you explained it, I was like, all right, I can see that. But as far as everything else Odyssey does, it to me, it feels the least like Mario 64 when I'm playing it. I don't know. That's just me. So I knew we'd definitely have different sides of that opinion or that idea.
Because it is an evolution of what Mario 64 was doing. You know, you had the particular star, you got to go do that. But
yeah,
obviously
Galaxy copied that formula to a T.
Right, and then it just added to it with the little cutscene. Oh, this is where you got to go. This is what's going on over there.
Did 64 do that?
No, 64. You pick the star. Depending on.
I thought it showed like the bomb guy on the top of the.
No. That was one of my complaints with 64 because it didn't show you.
Okay.
It just dropped you in the level.
It told you what to do based on the star. Kind of gave you an idea.
The name, yeah, that's
right. Yeah, you read the description. If you didn't read the description, then you were fumbling.
But basically, I'm just looking at the actual structure. You have a world. You have 6, 7 stars, each with a name, and then when you click on that, on certain levels, a certain star, like the things will be, especially in Galaxy, there'll be like if you go to the star 3 on World 3 or whatever, it's going to be a little bit of a different path than if you go to the first star, in that level or first level in that world. And to me, that structure is almost completely pulled from 64. The hub world, instead of paintings, you go into.
Oh yeah, you're right about that.
That's where, to me, that's where I'm relating the two being.
But what I'm saying is that
similar.
The thing that snatches it away from being what people consider like a direct sequel or whatever you really call it is the fact that Mario Galaxy has a pretty major gimmick in it, which is the gravity stuff and the floating planets so that's why it's, even though it is very similar to Mario 64 structure, people don't see it that way because of that. They care more about that Galaxy.
There's a few
stuff.
like the I forget the name of the honeycomb or the bee one. That one felt.
Yeah, there's levels where you just it feels like Mario 64. Yeah.
Whereas to me, like Odyssey, just the whole moon getting thing and Cappy and everything just feels like like you talk about the revolution, evolution, or whatever. Mm-hmm. It feels more like a revolution to me than an evolution. It's like taking everything and then throwing this huge brand new mechanic of capturing other enemies, and then the fact that it's just basically let's hide moons everywhere throughout these levels. It's more of a collectathon, exploration type of game, where 64 you could go around the levels, and you know, get coins. They had the 100 coins gave you a star, and the 8 red coins gave you a star on every level. But it just obviously the limitations of the 64 might be more responsible to the size of the levels than anything. But it's just something.
I just think it's a core basis thing. It's just like if you took 64 and, you know, added capturing to it and stuff like that, you'd be pretty close to Odyssey. You know, because you have that core of Mario's in a 3D area. It's a, you know, cut off or whatever. You can drop down in a bottomless pit anywhere around the level, and you have that, and you have him being able to just go anywhere he wants to in any direction. But there's no like major like difference. There's no major quote unquote gimmick to it where you're needing a water pack or you're needing the galaxy or the gravity elements. So I just think that's why people say it that way. When they look at Sunshine, they think of the water pack. When they look at Galaxy, they think of the gravity and the shines, not the sprites, with the little, what do you call those things? The little
Star
things
bits.
you collect. Yeah, the star bits you collect, they think of that. But yeah, there's obviously Mario 64 elements in those games too. But you think of the overall, what is the gimmick of that game? And that's why I think even with Cappy, you know, he changes what you can do. Obviously, you can change different characters. You can change. You can do crazy jumps. But fundamentally, it's the same base structure as Mario 64.
I hated that you just used that word because I want to start my sentence with that word. I was going to say,
no.
I fundamentally disagree with both of you and with a lot of people. I think everybody talks like evolution, revolution. To me, Odyssey feels as a devolution of Mario 64. What I mean with that is something that I like about 64 and don't like about Odyssey. What you guys disagree with is that I liked the idea that stars were segmented, that you went into the level with a specific goal and a challenge, and you had a challenge to get to the star and a mission, for example. And with specific stars, levels were redesigned and reprogrammed, altered a little bit and everything. And to me, Odyssey feels like a giant open sandbox. And there's a star behind a bush, there's a star on the wall, there's a moon, whatever, on a ceiling and under the floor. And I feel like that is my main issue with Odyssey. And I talked about that in my video for tomorrow as well, but I feel that is a big issue where I feel like Mario 64 was just better in that regards, that I feel that the segmented ID was still better, or at the very least, the result was better executed than how it ended up with Odyssey.
Yeah, I mean, there's something to be said for, like, it's like with the Breath of the Wild thing. They changed up a lot of the conventions of Zelda, and like, I gave you a hard time when you weren't here last week at the end about how you missed the swimming and stuff. And same way with Odyssey, I feel like they really tried to break conventions of the 3D Mario game, even though 3D World already did that. So it just feels like I can understand, like, if you prefer the structure of, hey, I want to, this star has got an objective, I can go get this star, and then the next star, they, like you said, they mix up that environment a little bit for what, you know, put the star in a different spot. They move some things around. The level maybe isn't identical, and it just depends on which star, aka level, you choose to go into. And then when you beat them, then you can go back and pick and choose which one. Like, there's on World 1, the first or second star, one of them was way easier to get 100 coins, and then another one there wasn't even 100 coins if you chose the wrong star. So. And that was a little bit tedious and frustrating at times, but I can understand if you just love that structure of getting this star, this is what you got to do.
Because that structure, having that structure in place keeps the difficulty level, the challenge in check. And with Odyssey, yeah, like I said, you know, and you said this in your Juice Opinions as well, because I mentioned that in my video, that so like 80% of the moons is like you walk there, you get it, you walk there, you get it, you go on the roof, under the floor. And the real challenging parts are very rare, especially in the beginning. And when you continue in Odyssey, it becomes harder, and the game can be as hard as you want. If you want 100% the game, there's so many hard challenges, but it's a very wibble wobble wonky kind of feeling, and I feel that the structure keeps that more balanced.
Yeah, and I mean, that kind of, go ahead, Terrell.
I wanted to give my perspective, considering I'm a guy who doesn't play Mario nowhere near as much as you guys have, and just kind of comparing what Retro Death said about, because the thing and I mean this, I absolutely hate the structure of Mario 64 is here's what you got to do in a level and go do it. All right, you're going back out. Here's what you got to do for the next section, for the next star.
Dude,
go back. I can't.
It was 1996.
No. I understand.
It was 1996, and that was the first.
Listen, I understand. I'm just saying it's like 2017. Looking at that game, that's like one of the most annoying things about the game. I think 64's issue with me personally was the fact that I agree. I understand that in certain levels they did change certain things, but it was nowhere near enough to justify having it as segmented as it was. It was
you gotta remember though that was their solution to having level 1-1, level 1-2, level 1-3. They had to find a way to do that without creating that many different environments. So I mean that's why it existed. I mean,
I understand the existence. That doesn't mean that I find it that it's still what's the word I'm looking for? A competent,
a viable solution to that problem.
Yeah, like I don't think that doesn't make it a great solution, and in some ways I would say that goes against its detriment of not aging as well. But the problem Odyssey has currently is that Odyssey went for a blue ocean approach. It said, okay, look, we want to make sure the player never gets discouraged, and the one thing I really enjoy is that the level changes as you're getting stars and whatnot. Kind of like, if I remember correctly, I think Sunshine did something similar, where as you were going and getting your shines, the level would change, and so your next set of shines would be in the new changed version of the stage.
Changed somewhat, but most of the time it was just, hey, there's this big old ink or oil spill now in this area that wasn't there before.
Yeah, it wasn't major, but
that's how Odyssey does it too. I don't know what you mean.
The biggest issue is with the moons is that they tried to have it where everybody from adults to children would constantly be rewarded, so you never be deterred. And the problem is I think it ends up alienating older players who recognize Mario was pretty consistent with challenge. I don't think it's that it's inconsistent. It's just more so it gives you the freedom to pick to get what challenges you want to do. Like you can go look for the hard stuff, but in your first playthrough, you're not going to know where the hard stuff is at. You're going to have to just happen upon it.
Yeah, that's crazy that because you'd rather have it be just kind of open, free to find the things you want. And I'm a little on Retro side where I'd almost prefer. I mean, I love Odyssey. Let's not get this twisted here. Like it's still my number 2 game of the year right now, and I have at least 40 hours into it, and I can't turn it off when I'm playing it. But there is a part of me that misses that. Hey, this is what you need to do. Like the parts in the game that they kind of show you where the story wants you to go, and then in the Luncheon Kingdom for the longest time, I never went back. I didn't realize I never did the little the soup pot or whatever, the bird boss battle. Because I got enough moons, I left, and I didn't know that the level changes significantly after you do that.
Right.
And so for the longest time, I didn't know that. And if I would have just followed where it wanted me to go, then I actually preferred those parts where it's like, hey, here's a little title to like kind of showing you where you got to go. Like I preferred that because I do like that structure, but I also like that they mixed it up, and this isn't just they didn't just rest on their laurels and say, yep, we got to have 120 stars and, go in the world, here's star 1, next, then you go out, there's star 2. Like, I do appreciate that they did get rid of that, but I also do, since that's, I grew up I was 18 years old when that game came out, and that was my first real 3D platformer. I still like that, so I'm kind of in the middle. I'm kind of torn.
It runs in. I think Odyssey's problem is that it runs into the problem of having too much fluff, because I think literally the developer said, whatever you can think of, throw it in, and we got a whole bunch of moons out of it. And a lot of the ideas are great, but the problem is like you guys said, there's a lot of easy moons that almost seem like they probably shouldn't even have been in the game, or there shouldn't have been nowhere near as many as I just have to move the manhole cover. Oh, I just have to talk to this one guy on the bench. Like,
yeah, I got a theory about that.
And I think because there's so much fluff that it ends up devaluing the challenging moons, because it's like, because you don't really need to do it. and so it kind of takes the appeal away from them unless you're a person who actively enjoys those type of challenges.
Just to evolve to what you said, because I agree with that, where that's what Odyssey does, and it does it a bit too well, where you can make the game as easy or hard as you want. Like I said, if you want to finish, just finish the game.
Right.
The bare minimum star moons that you need, you can just grab them. Like when you saw, not to throw shade at Doc Trey, when he showed the screenshot of something, like, see you guys, I'm playing the fucking game, and he was like in New Donk City. He had like fucking 60 moons. I think when I came to New Donk City, I had like 200 moons.
Yeah, that's the difference, though, right? Like, to me, I don't get the complaint of easy moons, because if you are a veteran Mario player, you don't give a shit about the easy moons. So what? There's easy moons. You're going for the max. You're going to get the max amount of them. So what? You know. So it's like, and to me, the easy moons push you to scour every bit and nook and cranny of the world, which I love to do. That's what I love about Mario 64, is that I can go. I may not find anything, but I'm gonna go and try to break this game almost, going to different areas. And that's what I think one of the coolest things about this game that nobody seems to be really talking about. And I kind of touched on it when I talked about, Banjo-Kazooie. When you collect stuff, it makes sense in the area. Like I'll look at something in a Mario Odyssey level, and I'm like, it looks like there's nothing going on there. But let me see if I can get up there and move around and see if I can find stuff. And I always do. And it just it pushes you to explore the level, every nook and cranny of it. And
yeah, I don't mind the ones that take a little exploration and a little thought. Hey, maybe I'll go back. Maybe if I move the camera around the back of this area, there'll be something there. That stuff.
But even if you're finding easy ones on the way, so what? Like you're gonna get to it. To me, that pushes you to look more.
Well,
let me just give my theory of why I think there's so many moons in the first place. Because they said in January, like how Mario was close to done, right? Everybody, you guys remember that?
Yeah.
I feel they had a number of moons. It seemed like it was set before. And this whole time, it's been a strategy. The launch date to me was completely a strategy. I mean, for all we know, this game was done at E3, and for the most part, it just feels to me like, hey, you guys got some extra time. Go hide moons in every world. Double the number of moons. Go put them everywhere.
Not like the Nintendo philosophy at all.
But it just seemed to me that's just a theory I have. But so here's the difference to me, like. Because I'm one of those, I like to get, maybe not 100% everything, but I do like to try to get the most out of a game. And I like exploring, and I'm going to ground pound right here. My HD Rumble's going off. I'm going to ground pound it. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
The reward when you're right, when you did pick a spot and you did go search and find something. To me, like I posted on Twitter, which got a lot of back and forth went on, where you had to take a Goomba to the back of the desert, and the female Goomba. And after I did it, after I posted it, I realized there might have been some Goombas up a little bit closer up on top of that building in the far top left of the map. I can't remember for sure. I should go back and look. But that literally was like a minute and a half. There wasn't even an enemy to avoid. And it was just walking. Yeah. To me, that's not easy for kids. That's not just exploration. That was just time wasting to me. That's where there was only a few moments like that. I don't say
time wasting if you do it.
Yeah, it's but I want to do it. I want to get the moons, but then I'm at a point now. I made a decision. I'm not going to try to get them all because there's just so many. You can buy. I don't know. I've already bought 20 plus with yellow coins, and it's why is that?
Yeah,
is that there because people couldn't find them, and they thought maybe they need somebody could buy some to get to the 500, and they just
No, I just think they did it because it makes coins more important. You start thinking about it more.
I did want to just touch on it real quick because all I really want to say on top of that is the reason why I think it's the way it is, where a lot of moons are pretty easy to get, is partially due to Nintendo for the longest time has been trying to figure out a way, because the reality is that 2D Mario is easier to comprehend for a lot of people than 3D Mario, and every Mario game tends to have, even though most of us here wouldn't say these games are hard, there are a lot of people who will pick up some of these Mario games and not beat them at all. And I think Nintendo's like, well, how do we make this appealing for the new person, the newcomer, and still make it appealing for the veteran gamer? And the idea is you make a blue ocean strategy with your moons. You have collectibles that are easily attainable for those who just want to play through the game and enjoy the game. Because eventually, I think the idea is that the more you play Odyssey, the more you kind of want to get good. Because it's like, you'll see things like, oh, there's a moon off into the distance. You just throw your hat and jump on it. And then that's just the basic move. We're not even talking about the whole jumping off the wall. I mean, backflipping off the wall, sliding on the wall, jumping off, throwing the hat, and then doing a dive onto the hat to bounce off the hat. We're not even talking about any of that extra shit. I think the idea is for those who can't or those who aren't as inspired, they can still play the game and still have their fun with it, while at the same time making it very accessible for like anybody to like. This is like one of the, I think probably this and maybe like 3D World's like a game that I literally don't think anyone can't beat. Like,
yeah, and I understand. I agree that I'm sure that was their strategy.
I was surprised that my son, he doesn't seem to care too much for Odyssey.
No.
Yeah, I ended up with 2 copies, and I'm actually going to be sending it back to Amazon.
Well, yeah, that's
extra copy because he doesn't really, like I said, he beat Breath of the Wild, but because the structure of Breath of the Wild is a lot more easy to comprehend and go with. You're on the ground, you slash with your sword, you block, and it's not as involved as a Mario game is, especially with all the capturing of different enemies and stuff, and having to capture them to do things. So it's just like he said it to me the other day. I was surprised. He was like, I don't know about Mario. I think it's too hard for me. I'm like, wow, really?
Really?
Yeah. And I was really surprised by that because he's really good at a lot of games. He just doesn't seem to care for.
I would thought you were gonna say he just because there is all this ground pound here, but to some people that might get boring.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were going. I thought you were.
There's been a few times where I was just like, he
just saw me platforming around and jumping up and using that. I don't want to spoil any of the later enemies, but using them to climb walls, and that just seemed way too involved for him. Like he beat stuff like I said, he beat Zelda, but Zelda's pretty grounded. You're not like doing crazy platforming.
Yeah, I don't think it.
I think it's pretty more die hard that you beat Zelda than if you would have beaten Odyssey somehow.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely.
It's arguable to say that, and it kind of gets into another question: which game you think is breaking up harder?
You're breaking up, Trail.
I want to say that again.
Of course I am. All I was gonna say was which one. It brings up the question: which one you view as harder, Zelda or Mario?
I guess he views Mario as harder. So.
I mean, Zelda, once you got to like the silver enemies and stuff, that got pretty tough.
He's playing Master Mode right now.
Is he?
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's a more grounded game. He understands slash with your sword, block with your shield, climb this, and I mean that's the fundamentals of Zelda. Obviously, there's other stuff, and he understands cooking. You gotta cook the stuff to get the hot stuff to be able to last in the cold areas. It makes sense to him. But turning into some caterpillar thing, he doesn't get that. It doesn't mesh with him. He doesn't.
Yeah, it'd be interesting if that was their true philosophy, thinking that it'd be even a beginner could go ahead and get enough moons. But we'll move on. I just want to. I never said it was not hard enough or too easy. Like the moon I showcased had nothing to. It was like the Goomba thing that had. The reason I didn't like that had nothing to do with the difficulty of it. Like it was just a fetch quest type of thing, and when I already had over 500 moons, and I don't know I'd have to start the game over. I thought that was one of those post game because I did not remember seeing that female Goomba back there. Maybe I just never went back that far because I
think that was post game.
Because post game it kind of marks in each world it kind of marks an X for for a bunch of new moons to get. And I couldn't say one way or the other if that was for sure one, because there was one over there that was an X, but I don't know if that one was. But just to me, it had nothing to do with difficulty. It was just like what is the point of this moon after I've already done like the female Goomba thing multiple times on different levels? Like, to me, it felt a little redundant, and it didn't have anything to do with the actual difficulty of it. So, because I will say, when Odyssey's, for me, is at its best is when I'm doing what T and you guys were talking about, where I'm scaling, I'm up high, I'm doing advanced techniques, trying to get somewhere or get a moon that's like maybe easily visible, but you got to like use that bird creature thing, whatever it is, to fly down. And if you saw on Twitter, I posted where I should have fell, and I felt like I didn't panic, but watching the video, just like, how the hell did I recover from that? Like, those kind of things to me, like someone like T's son would probably never ever try to get that or be able to successfully get that moon, even though it's clearly visible. It just takes some precision, and that's when it's at its best, when I'm like having to really test using Mario's abilities to its fullest to get a moon. And that's, to me, it's as good as even the best of the best Mario games when it's like that. It's just, I feel there's not enough moments like that. If I had to really break, I don't know, percentage wise, I just feel like there's not enough of the more, hey, you got to use your skills to get this moon type of moons. The ones that use that, though, the game's as it's right up there with all of them at the top. Like, it's as good as every other game.
I think those, like a lot of Mario games, come later. I think that kind of shifted with maybe Super Mario 3D Land, where most of the game was pretty easy to get through.
Yeah,
and all the challenge stuff came, and then the challenge level, the challenge worlds afterwards. I think that's what Odyssey is trying to do, and not so much give you challenge worlds, but give you these challenges and levels you already ran through.
And I will say, and let me just real quick, Rob Rule 2, I disagreed with him that he said 3D World was easy until like World 4, 5, or 6, and I was like, I can understand that it was, to get to the flagpole wasn't super challenging until maybe those worlds, but finding all 3 green stars and getting to the top of the flagpole was part of the challenge to me. And I felt,
again, that what if there were 30 green stars? Like, that's the difference, I think, between
those 3 and the stamp. To me, was just enough carrot dangled in front of me, and some of the getting to the top of the flagpole, like, yeah, if I had the cat suit from the previous level, but there's times where it really was difficult to get to the top. And to me, the difference was excellent level design and the way the game was structured. To me, like, yeah, that's maybe the first 2 worlds aren't super challenging to get to the flagpole, but the level design and the music and everything's so good that it's just fun to play. And Odyssey has it's almost always fun to play. It's almost never not fun. Like, only that maybe a couple moons total out of 500 where I was like, this isn't fun. The most of the game is just joy. Just controlling Mario is so fun, and being in that world and seeing how, just how he moves and capturing things is just so fun that the flaws to me, like, maybe sound like I was harping on a little bit. It still is so minimal compared to everything that's good about the game. So
that's one thing I hate when people say as a complaint. That's like this general complaint where people complain it's too easy or whatever. It's like, but Mario games were never hard. I mean, who here in this chat and in this group right now, if you play the original Super Mario Brothers, you're not telling me that nobody here is taking like longer than 2 minutes to get to level 8. It's fucking
I don't know.
easy.
I'm telling you,
I wouldn't say
disagree with that.
I wouldn't agree.
I still think Super Mario Brothers is hard.
Play the original first Mario Bros. It takes you literally less than 2 minutes if you know the game to get to World 8, and then World 8 gets extremely hard. But that's
don't warp and go through the entire game.
The games just get harder when you move along, and that's what Odyssey, I feel, does really well. That near the end, you can make it as challenging as you want, and even for those like us that love getting the super hard stuff, because like there's not many, but there are some. Even in the end, post game, you still get rewarded for it because you still unlock more stuff for it.
Yeah, and it's like I said, my juice opinions before I did that video, or when I did that video, I hadn't even gone to the dark side of a certain area and known about this boss tower like challenge thing where you get one life, and like that to me that's so appealing. Like I can't wait to dig in and try to complete that. I don't even care if there's a moon at the end. Honestly, I just want to. For me, that's the challenge that I seek and that I like, and I'm glad it's there. I found it as right before I was turning the game off yesterday, and I haven't gone back and tried it. But I think there's been like Galaxy 1, the first 50 stars I felt were a cakewalk to somebody like was like a, not a master, but somebody was really good at 3D Mario games. But after that, it got pretty challenging. That's when that game started really for me. But anyway, let's
let me just say one more quick thing. I just think that overall, like, compelling game design is easier in the linear Mario games, like the 2D or 3D worlds and the galaxies, because where everybody's going to go for the most part. And I just think because of the open worldish nature of like Mario 64 and Sunshine and stuff like that, it's a little bit harder to make it more compelling to scour the worlds, because it's pretty open. You don't know where people are going to go and what they're going to do. So.
Yeah, and we'll see if they decide the next Mario game in 5 years or whatever, what path they take. Because they've even though the structure of the first like Sunshine, 64, Galaxy all had the same star structure and stuff, they still have very different in a lot of other ways, and 3D World completely different from the other console games. Obviously, it was like 3D Land, but
is there one person? I'm sorry, go ahead.
And I just say now Odyssey, there are quite a bit of differences in each one. Like we always say like they really change it up. They don't, other than the sequel, Galaxy 2 was the only real sequel they've ever done where it was just like obviously a sequel. It's, the same structure, the same graphics engine, same everything, that just new levels. And that's the only time they ever did that. So
yeah, I just want to say, like, because we're talking about if Mario games have been hard, most of the 2D Mario games, World 8s, have been whoa. like especially like Super Mario Brothers 3. Is there anybody in this group right now that's beat every level in that? Because I haven't.
In which one?
Super Mario Brothers 3.
Yes, I have.
World 8, you've beaten every.
I'm not sure if there's any secret ones. I played.
I use that cloud to skip shit all over the place.
When I was younger, I did that too in the first game, in the third game, and during the years I made it like a thing to not use shortcuts and to actually play every, because I want to discover every level, so I can confirm that I have.
Yeah, I got to World 8 and some of that shit just was not even fun. It was so hard.
That's
it wasn't
for sure.
even fun for me. Yeah. And I just skipped it.
Isn't there one where it's like
cloud
dark?
Yeah, it's like dark and there's candles lit and whatever. There's there's all these
horrible.
Those are some hard ass levels.
Yeah, I actually beat all those because I never actually owned the game, but the same buddy that had Star Fox for 2 years, I had Super Mario Bros. 3. We lived 4 houses down, so it wasn't a big deal. But I was a little more into his dad bought him all the games, and I was more into them, so I always ended up playing. Actually, no, I did have Super Mario Bros. 3. I take that back. My grandpa bought that for me, and yeah, it was challenging as hell, and I definitely don't. Yeah, I never really want to go back and do that again.
I want to see that. I want to see that. I want to see that on video.
I haven't played Mario Bros. 3 since the Game Boy Advance version, and I beat that. I'm pretty sure I played all. I don't know. It's hard to say if
those tanks and all the bomb shooting and the the force scrolling and all that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for punishment, man. I just.
Oh, I am too, to a degree. To where it's just like not even fun.
I don't know. I'm too stubborn to give up on a lot of those, and I died. I would say at Champions Road on 3D World. I bet I died at least 60 times before I beat it, and maybe even more. I wasn't keeping exact track, but like I don't have something about me. I just can't stop. I can't give up a level. I tried on Super Luigi U. I think it was one of the special levels, and same with New Super Mario Bros. U.
I want to see
one with spikes, and I bet I played that. Because when you die in that, it restarts almost instantly on New Super Mario Bros. U. I got through the level after maybe 50 to 60 deaths, but getting all the 3. I forget what the collectibles were. Were they star coins or something? There's like big coins in New Super Mario Brothers series. Getting those
bigger coin. Yeah, those bigger star coin
yeah,
things.
there's 3 in each one. I bet I died close to 100 times on that level, and then I finally beat it. My brother was home for Christmas, and he walked in as I was beating that level, and I was like, "Yeah!" I was like, screaming. He's looking at me like, "What the hell?" I was like, "I just beat the hardest Mario level I've ever played in my life," and I was like, I felt so good about it.
I'd love to see you play something like Angry Video Game Nerd Adventures. I see you play that, Mr.
But on Mario,
Punishment.
Mario Maker, though, I did not like the expert levels that people made because to me, most of them were just so unfair and ridiculous that.
No, that's like the
trap
Stardew
levels,
Gold
man.
shit. That doesn't count.
It's like, it probably took them 100 times to beat themselves, and it's just like
The ones where you got to like hold on to like an item and then you got to throw it against the wall, jump off it, and catch
that's
it.
bullshit.
yeah,
like-
that's come on.
I don't have any desire to do that shit. But if Miyamoto didn't come up with it, then I'm not interested in going that far. In going that far with it. Shit, I forgot what the next topic was gonna be.
No, you didn't write it down again.
No, I know I want to talk about games in November, but I had the Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Direct.
Right.
I really not expecting much other than potential bad news about the game not being all on the cartridge. Like I don't know what else other than them making
In what
sure.
world would that happen?
It'd be crazy. Like I'd have to eat my words if they like, yeah, you got to download an additional 10
Chronicles
gigs.
2.
I don't see Nintendo do that somehow.
Nintendo's not going to do that.
I don't think so. But the only other thing is just I think they're going to try to explain the game yet again for people that probably passed on X on the Wii U and probably didn't play Chronicles on the Wii. Like, do you guys expect like anything major other than them really just explaining how the game works?
Maybe some more blades.
I was about to say they've been showing off all these damn blades in the Japanese Twitter, and the American fan base technically, if you don't follow the Japanese Twitter, wouldn't know about all these fucking blades and their waifu / anime fucking nature. So I'm like, well, you might want to explain it because people are thinking, oh, well, we're only going to get these generic looking blades and Pyra, and that's it. I'm hoping it's just more focused stuff that we haven't seen already. Like, I mean, because we're about at the time where it's like, okay, all your major games are out. This is the last one. You probably need to start putting some real time onto it. So it getting another focus direct, getting a direct is fine. They just need to maybe show off something that we haven't seen before, because we really don't know a lot about Xenoblade 2.
Yeah, that's true. Anybody else? I mean, got any expectations?
I'm with. It's really short for me. I'm with Terrell on this. It's like they've shown so much of it already by now that what else can you show? It is the most pointless direct of the year, I feel. Like the last trailer finally convinced me. It showed everything you needed. So like Terrell says, unless there is this huge, random, mind-blowing new game mechanic they haven't explained yet, I don't see the point of it. Except to maybe build hype, but I don't know.
Well, yeah, because the game, I would probably say that's been the most underplayed game they've had this entire year. Like,
I think they just
because it's out. We know it's coming. We've seen it, but it's just kind of like you had other games to be excited about. So Xenoblade was there. It was always there. It just kind of like it was hanging in the background. You had characters waving like, "Hey, you can buy me in about a month, guys."
So do you think it's going to be more to get people re-excited, the Xenoblade fans, or do you think they're really going to try to get those guys who maybe don't think it's a game they'd want? Like, I know Level had always talked about X, where it looked good, but he didn't think it was his type of game. I didn't think it was my type of game. Played it, absolutely loved the battle system, loved the.
They have to give you a demo. I feel like unless they announce a demo, they're not going to change the minds of people who've already seen it. People who are like level head, who kind of like look at it and go, like it looks good, but I don't necessarily care for the battle mechanics. You're not going to get those people in with a damn direct.
No,
you get those people in with a demo at the.
Go ahead. Have they explained it other than the Gamescom breakdown?
Yeah, it was in the the September one.
Oh yeah, it was in that direct, wasn't it?
Yeah, the September one that everyone hated because everyone kept saying, "Oh, the guy has a boring voice," and no one.
Yeah, you're right.
That they did explain it. The problem is that, as like I said, Xenoblade does not. You can't show Xenoblade off. You can't show like fights from Xenoblade Chronicles. Hell, X or the original Xenoblade Chronicles, and people would be like, "Yeah, that game looks amazing." You got to give them a demo.
But then again, the demo could be dangerous too. You could turn some
It
people
could,
off.
but I think at this point, if you're trying to get new people to get into it, it's better than not having a demo.
A demo can be indeed very dangerous because the demo of Sonic Forces is why I'm no longer buying that.
Well, that's a little different.
Wait, what? I don't understand. Well, that one's a little weird, but okay.
But I think the main reason
Did you not like the game, or you just hate that the game was short?
Yeah, you just hate
the demo was short.
No, the thing why I don't like it, and it is something that I said I didn't care about, but it somehow it bothers me way too much. Somehow it's the frame rate. I can't. The frame rate when the game goes so fast, it shouldn't be such an issue. I don't think it ever was before, but it feels choppy when you run, and it just feels really off to me somehow.
Well, that's because you're playing the that gimped ass Switch port.
Which is why I'm picking up my PS4 version tomorrow.
But just for the Xenoblade Direct, I think why they're doing it now, I think it is something last minute because the Switch started fucking selling like crazy in the last 2 months, and I think they're trying to convince the people who recently bought one who don't know what it is. I think it's mainly for that.
And I also
pretty much like a repeat of the ARMS Direct, where a lot of the original ARMS Direct was a lot of explaining the game to people, and there was only like a little bit of new information.
Yeah, that was like, dude, we already know all this. Why are you telling us all this again? But
this ain't about you, bitch.
It's probably going to be like that. And
they're starting to make those Blue Ocean Directs.
Yeah.
Terrell, Pyra, Amiibo. 2 words. How do you feel about that?
Oh, say it again.
Pyra, Amiibo.
Thank God. Change.
It depends. It depends on the pose. That's all I'm gonna say.
I was just gonna jokingly say that.
It depends on the pose. Is all I'll say. Depends on the pose and depends on that face. That's all.
If Nintendo's smart, they've realized that the Amiibo craze is over, and just
it's over. Oh, crazy! Maybe
I wouldn't say the craze
still do really well.
I mean, I'm seeing Samus Returns Amiibos in stores. Like,
I haven't seen any.
Well, that's a stock issue. That's not.
Yeah, I haven't seen any Samus.
Again, you're talking about craze versus.
I'm just saying. I see them in the stores. I'm telling you that would have never happened. So I don't know.
Even with the Mario Odyssey amiibo, I've only seen Mario. I haven't seen Peach or Bowser in Best Buy.
Yeah, I've seen Bowser and Mario. I haven't seen Peach
because they're overdue. You know, the Marios and maybe even Bowser, and then they don't have enough Peaches.
I was just throwing that out there to see if that would get Terrell excited or not. Because
no, bro, you need to go. I'm serious. I need to send you like the last 3 or 4 rare blades they've been showing off on Twitter, bro. These people don't give a fuck. This is like full on anime bullshit, and I can't say I'm not excited because those some good ass characters.
I want that Pro Controller. I can't find it.
I don't fucking need it. I
ain't talking about you, cuz.
I know. I was just saying as an aside. I don't fucking.
Yeah, they're more Technikoi than Technikoi with
no, they're not.
With those characters.
No.
We're talking about Fire Emblem Warriors.
Well, maybe Fire Warriors, but I'm about to say you haven't seen enough Koei Tecmo games if you think that.
But yeah, so it'd be interesting. I'll be at work, so I'll just have to watch it later.
I think it starts at like 9, doesn't it? Like 9 Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah. It's like they're just if they thought it was a bigger deal, they probably would have custom.
9 a.m.
They would have had it at a more not U.S. but just like North America time friendly time.
Wait, we don't even know how long the
Europe don't care.
Be.
They know Europe don't care about the Switch as much.
So well, it's because it hasn't sold as well.
They're kind of throwing them a bone as far as the time.
Which means they don't care.
Which is also weird as shit considering.
Not really.
No, it's weird as shit considering how Xenoblade's voice acting is all European and not like.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's always British voice acting.
Yeah, so it's like.
It's like because it's exotic for you guys. That's like when they use German magic and anime and shit. It just sounds different, so it's cooler then.
We didn't say it was exotic. It's just like we just said it was different.
That's a good magic. That's a cool magic shit.
We're pointing it out because it's your guys. It's your your British
the
voice
English are
actors
my
that's
guy.
in the game. You would think.
I knew that was coming. I knew it was coming.
Fucking I still Shulk's stupid saying still gets me to this day.
You know why? Because it's fucking iconic. That's why.
I don't know if it's because of Smash or when I played Xenoblade Chronicles I put about 20 hours into it. And I think it was from Smash playing against somebody. I forget. Somebody used to be freaking Shulk all the time, and it was just backslash over and over. It was
I don't know who the fuck that was.
probably like I forget, Mega Gamer or somebody back in the day.
Who the fuck is that? No,
I don't know. But
I'm fucking terrible. Don't worry about me, guys.
and was there any other news that happened the last couple of days before we?
Oh yeah. Apparently, turns out that Super Lucky Tales is getting low reviews because of Mario Odyssey.
Yeah.
What? What?
Did you see? I mean, Metacritic's not the most reliable and most.
I mean, the low reviews is not my
Examples.
issue. Why is it because of Mario Odyssey? Is my question.
Because Mario Odyssey just came out, and now Lucky Tales is.
That's what they're gonna say. But if you actually just scroll down Metacritic for Super Lucky Tales, in almost every quote for the review, it's
Mario Odyssey.
Good for no. They only mention Odyssey.
Oh, I was gonna say
For
IGN mentioned it a few times in their review.
Did they?
Yeah.
Well, if you scroll to Metacritic, read like the quotes for each review. They give a 1 sentence, 2 sentence quote. Almost every one. This would be fun if you're a small child, or this is good for most beginner children in the game. It's all just across the board. Everybody's saying the same thing. It's a kids game for very beginners, and basically like some of the Kirby games people talk about where there's no challenge and they're really appealing to the younger audience. They're good if you're a child type of thing. So it seems like that's the big problem.
It's like, did anybody expect any less though? Seriously.
How is that a defense though? It's because Mario's so good.
Yeah, that part of it.
I saw all the terrible flaws, even more. Is that what you're saying?
Is that what the Nintendo haters are saying, or what?
No, it's just
some propaganda.
Xbox dude on I saw it on Twitter. He was saying that the Lucky Tales is getting low reviews because of Mario Odyssey just coming out and getting all
that's just
this
insecurity there. That's just
okay. So, but here's the thing. Let's say you believe that. Then why did original Super Lucky Tales score so terribly? There was no more. It wasn't Mario's fault then.
Why did Cuphead score so high? Because I guess that came out before Odyssey.
No, because it was a better game. That's why.
Yeah,
why is Sonic Forces getting low scores because of Odyssey?
Mario gets high scores because it's Mario.
That whole argument.
No, it's because
well, people have said that. I've heard that.
Right, because Mario games are good.
They're always good. Nintendo don't fuck around with, other than Sunshine maybe getting a little released before it was probably 100% ready. They really don't fuck around. Like, it's just crazy to me. But the real problem, like I was talking about, is when a game, well, a lot of people say Mario games are kiddie, platforming games are kiddie, but when almost every reviewer is talking about how like it's like going to a movie, like the Emoji Movie. If you talk to Robert, who went and seen it, or any reviewer, they talk about maybe a 5-year-old would be entertained by these jokes, like that type of stuff. And that, honestly, from my perspective, or from what I've seen, that seems what the biggest problem with that game is it's just so geared towards beginners that that's been playing
actually,
games.
I would argue it's the same problem Knack had. It's so fucking basic. It's like boring.
Yeah, they don't understand the fundamental mechanics of like core platforming. They just don't. They
understand it. They just don't know how to make it interesting.
But yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why they can't, because it looks so bland.
Yeah, it's like literally, hey, look, there's 3 platforms. I guess I should jump over these platforms.
Yeah, it's like they don't get what Nintendo does is obviously, well, not obviously to some people, but they really focus on the controls. So the Mario always controls just amazing and precise. You can do advanced moves or you can do basic moves, but then the rest of it is the attention to detail we always talk about with Nintendo games. They always put in this just layers upon layers of detail. And if you talk to somebody that like writes, whether books, screenwriting, or just for themselves or something, they always talk about you give characters layers and layers of little backstory and stuff to like build up a character. Nintendo does that to levels. They probably start with the most basic. I think we saw Zelda, how basic it started, and then they just start meticulously adding things and little details here, little like this when Mario hits a cactus, he's got freaking 3 little needles in his nose or whatever. What are the spikes? Or like, why can't I think of what a cactus has? The thorns, you know. That doesn't make the game. That doesn't make the game. But when you take something like that and then you have 100 things like that all throughout the game, that's those little
that's not even.
That was a great.
But actually, what you were talking about earlier about how they were making Zelda, where they had the land, they start adding things. That's the complete opposite. I think that's like the reverse of what these guys do. These guys are like, all right, we need to have like an open gap section where you jump 3 blocks. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3.
I think they just
all right, now we need to have them be able to swing maybe 1 or 2 vines across a fucking empty area. All right, there's the 2 vines, and we have to make sure there's an enemy in the area so they know it's not safe. There we go.
Yeah, like Nintendo places enemies too for potential speed running and stuff, where all right, like playing Mario Maker really opened up my eyes to like enemy placement like that and stuff. I watched some people making levels and like their YouTube videos and stuff, and they would just randomly place blocks as they went along. And what I would do is I would decide how long I want it to be, and then I'd like break off. Let's say I wanted to have like a higher spot that you could go through a pipe or something, or you could get up high. Like I would section off like the base outline of the level, and then I would start filling it with stuff. And a lot of people would just, all right, this screen, I'm going to put this block, and this block. Let's go to the next screen. And it kind of feels like that's what.
I know what it is. I know what the problem is. It's if Super Lucky's Tale and those kind of games seem too processed. Like they don't feel like it's organic level design. It feels like they're just kind of going by the most, like they're reading a textbook of how to make platform game levels, and that's all they're doing. They're just following the book, and there's no actual organic placement.
That's how Ratchet and Clank
Juice
felt.
Made the best point, and I don't want people to miss it, skip over it. When he talked about just recently, he just talked about how screenwriters write characters. Like I was working on a TV show, a pilot anyway, for a TV show, and the things they tell you to do, like, so I have these characters, and you have to write basically a biography of these people, and you may never see any of that stuff on screen. You may never see any of it, but they want you to do a complete history of this person into what got them to the point of this they are in the story, and that's what Nintendo does with gameplay. And I think that was a perfect point where these guys, they just, let's get to the cool set piece. Everybody else is just like, let's get to the cool elements in the pilot, and they don't build up, they don't have the foundation, and that's the Nintendo difference to me.
I like what you said when with like how Nintendo spends such detail on all the little extra things, like the thing with the cactus. One of the things that seriously blew my mind, and it's been a while since my mind has been blown in video games, is when, for example, you're in the Cascade Kingdom with Mario, and you jump against the wall, just you hit it, you bust your head on it, and you fall down, and you fall in the water. The way Mario falls in the water is like the most fucking realistic thing I have ever seen. It is so ridiculous how his body reacts to that.
And he gets out of the water and he's like so sheen polished, like the water's dripping off of me, and there's a clear difference. You can tell he's been in water. It's just like a small little detail that doesn't matter to the overall game, but they care enough to put that kind of stuff in there.
But I think like what T said, what he like the dude, those Xbox people that are like complaining. I think because for them, it doesn't matter. It's Mario. It's Mario's on the Nintendo system, and then it's kiddie. But lucky still, it's on Xbox, so that's like hardcore shit, like Halo instantly.
Well, I think I have a really conspiracy theory, like the total Nintendo fanboy theory, that Microsoft picked that up, and it's ridiculous to say it out loud. It was a thought I had. Like, they want to not prove, but they released this. They picked up this really for children basic 3D platformer, almost to say, this is, you guys are right. 3D platformers and games like this are for kids. Like, I'm sure that wasn't in their decision making, but that was a thought I had, and it just kind of feels in my head. It kind of felt more realistic than when I started saying it out loud. But it's just, it's going to, like, people are going to say, oh, look at this kiddie game. Platformers are kiddie. It's just going to reconfirm to them that those types of games are for kids when it's completely not true.
I honestly think that Phil Spencer's original intention as far as getting these kind of games, or like Zoo Tycoon and shit like that, was because I think I was looking at like the Xbox One X review, and I realized apparently Zoo Tycoon and like a Disneyland game are part of the like 13 games that'll be like patched when the console comes out for the 4K patch and shit.
How is there not more games? That's just ridiculous.
Because all the 360 games are just up-res. But the point I was making is, I think Microsoft, at least Phil is starting to understand that having a generalized group of genres would help them, instead of leaning on like the one or two ones they do now. The problem is, you pick like the worst fucking game for a platformer. Like Cuphead was kind of a good blend. It was a mix of a platformer and a shooter. So you're still stuck in the shooting genre, but at least the game doesn't look like every other fucking Xbox-like game, right?
But that's the thing I don't understand, like, because that is like kind of true, but that's what I don't understand is a mindset where people think like you can make Lucky Still 20,000 fucking K, it's still gonna look worse than Odyssey.
Well, I guess I think
20,000 K.
Well, I think the whole point was more so trying to get something in that genre, and Lucky's Tale was like the only game that they could really get, because they don't invest in these fucking developers who actually know how to make platforming games. You keep just buying or trying to get rights to games that didn't do well on the PC or something, and saying, well, we're gonna put it on the Xbox. I'm like, well, there's a reason why it didn't do well on the PC.
I wonder
the game
if
isn't good.
I'm just gonna throw this out there. It's how likely, on a scale of 1 to 10, 0 being not likely, 10 being likely, that Microsoft could throw the Banjo-Kazooie IP at Playtonics. How likely do you think that'll ever happen?
It's not going to happen.
Not going to happen?
Not right now.
I wonder if they'd be interested in it if it was.
Yeah, I wouldn't be interested.
No, there'd be no point. You're gonna take Banjo-Kazooie and do what? Ukulele 2?
And this is what kills me, Mark. They had the chance to make a true Banjo-Kazooie sequel, and they made that nuts and bolts bullshit. So they already had their chance.
I think
that was during the time where platformers were getting out of the spotlight, and I think they thought, well, in order to keep
car building games were getting in,
well,
that just made no sense.
Listen, it wasn't justified. I didn't say it was a smart decision. I'm just telling you that was probably.
You know what? I just gotta say too, like, people were talking about Mario Odyssey in the reviews, and like, we're finally the resurgence of 3D platformers. I'm like, where the fuck have you guys been? Like, 3D World didn't count. Galaxy 1 and 2 didn't count. Like, I know those have been.
Yeah, but it's only like one game franchise. That's the problem.
I know, but still, Galaxy 2 came out
was like the
7
only
years
company
ago.
making games like that. That was the problem people were having. It's like, why is Nintendo the only company holding up the 3D platformer? Which is what they were doing.
Suddenly
the stuff that started to come out, like, I think they're saying, people are starting to take more chances on 3D platformers.
Games like Hat in Time.
And obviously Ukulele came recently, and there's a few others. Puyo, what's it, Puyo or
Ponyo?
It's on Switch.
Oh,
there's a few others out there.
Is it just
Poi?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
they're starting to. It's kind of like platformers was using the indie scene.
Fate is going to come up.
They were using the indie scene, and now they've gained enough confidence in the indie scene that higher budget companies are starting to like put games out for platformers again. Platformers, I don't think will ever reach the same heights that they were when they were the main genre. But at the same time, they don't need to just fucking go away, which is what it felt like they did.
Well, I mean, there's some pretty strong evidence it shouldn't go away, and that's there's at least 2 million reasons not
no.
to.
It's not that it shouldn't go away. It's just that it got because for a while. I mean, think about it. A lot of indie developers, their default genre they were doing for a
2D.
while was 2D platformers, and it was like, well, when the hell did platformers get relegated to like the default indie starter genre? Well, they're not. It's just that when the shooter genre kind of took center stage, people didn't want to deal with platformers anymore. People didn't want to deal with hell. That's the reason why turn-based RPGs started going away for a while, and it turned into this action combat bullshit that now permeates like every fucking game. That's
and it didn't make sense because when platformers, quote unquote, you know, at least from the other companies, fizzled out, they were still doing pretty well. Ratchet and Clank did well. Jack and Daxter games were doing great. Like it didn't seem like there was. It wasn't like the sales went into the tank and it was like, oh, the 3D platformers are dead.
No,
but Naughty Dog basically wanted to move on, and Sucker Punch started making infamous games, and
that's why they start trying to modernize them and trying to change their genres. That's why because a lot of people were saying Ratchet and Clank turned into more action oriented than platforming.
It did, yeah. Ratchet and Clank definitely, and Jack too. Jack is also
like they
turned
to get away
into
from platforming.
With the latest one, it turned into non-action because it was so damn boring most of the time.
That's the thing, because it's easy. It's not easy to make a good platforming game, and that's what people seem to discount. They don't realize that not a lot of people make them because they're not easy to do. You have to actually have, put some thought into your level design and all that stuff. Like that's why Lucky Tales is trash.
And
I think it is all about heart, and I think Microsoft just doesn't really care. Just like with Banjo-Kazooie, like they could do it, but I think they're the kind of company where they don't really want to do it, but they know others will be able to do it, so
and their gamers
they're
don't
gonna
want
take that shit to the grave,
Well, they were the ones
don't care about it.
Well, they've also conditioned their gamers not to give a shit about.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, weren't they the ones that said single player experiences and stuff, or weren't they like the first ones to come out, like Phil Spencer or somebody?
Yeah, recently. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, but the problem is that they're a multiplayer focused company for the most part.
Yeah.
And like I said, 2 million reasons that a good 3D platformer is smart business.
That's why people have been saying like this year
2 million sales.
Single player game.
You just put Mario in front of it.
People thought for the longest time that single player games don't matter as much, and we see how that's gone.
Yeah, that's the single player game and a 3D platformer coming out in 2017 on a install base of like 8 million Switches, and it's Nintendo's biggest launch ever.
Look how good Ratchet. Look how good Crash Bandicoot did. Hello, it's possible.
There's a girl I work with.
That game doesn't even deserve that.
No, there's a girl I work with.
That's nostalgia.
Yeah, this girl at work's like, she's 20 years old. She's like, I'm thinking about buying a PS4. I'm like, why? She's like, I want to play that Crash trilogy. And I'm like, really?
Dude, I had a girl in my work job say the same.
She's like, that's the only video game I ever played when I was a kid. I've never played anything else. And she's like, I've never played Mario. She's like, forgive me. I'm like Jesus. I said, definitely.
You didn't even forgive her, did you?
I don't know.
You didn't even forgive her. That's the sad thing.
She's pretty cute, so she's hard to.
Okay.
You weak, man. You weak. That's
so weak, man.
So yeah, Mario Odyssey sells 2 million in the first 3 or 5 days. I forget the exact how many days, but like Robert nailed it. He said 2 million. I said 1.8. Somebody said 2.5. I forget who that was.
Probably.
I don't know what was that.
That's ridiculous. But we saw the YouTube views for the trailer. Like I should have known. I mean, I was pretty close, but I thought I was being going a little high when I said 1.8. But like that's pretty significant for Nintendo to sell that many, especially with the install base. And then it makes you wonder where's the ceiling for this game as far as sales. Like this, I would be shocked if this thing didn't hit over 10 million in its life at this point. But how do you guys feel about 2 million? I mean, for a Nintendo game, that's like, I think the next highest was Zelda or something like 1.3 or Mario Kart 8
in the first week.
Yeah, like that's pretty serious. I don't know, anybody have any opinion, any thoughts?
So it's Mario. That is freaking amazing. And what else? What is there to say? And it wasn't even a full week. Am I right?
Yeah, it was
Over
just
3 days, I think, for the 2 million.
Yeah, it's like 3 days. That is ridiculous, especially on a new console. Like,
I wonder how many Switches sold worldwide from that Friday. You know, those same 3 days, because there was a lot of I saw
like
a lot
600,000 for the month, I think, right?
of what month? October?
Yeah.
In the U.S. or
No, just worldwide. I think it's
really?
worldwide.
Oh, I guess that's pretty good though.
That's great. That's twice as many as PS4 did.
Yeah.
More than that. A little more.
Yeah, and it just proves it doesn't have to be an online game, doesn't have to be multiplayer focused. I mean, it's kind of open world-ish in a way, but you know, it just goes against everything that most people think where this industry's at. If you listen, I forget who said it. Somebody asked about pre-order numbers at a particular store, and like Assassin's Creed was at 60, Odyssey was at 50, and like Wolfenstein 2 was like 5 or 6.
Oh yeah, I heard that.
One store. And you know, obviously Assassin's Creed's on PS4, Xbox One, that's a 90 million install base. That's probably obviously going to outsell Mario total, you know, if you take both systems combined. I don't know about PC or not, but I was a little disappointed though to find out it was I thought people were done with Assassin's Creed, but I guess not. So yeah, it's just it's a good number. It just again proves why, you know, software is important. The Wii U learned a hard lesson. I mean, yeah, I had Odyssey or 3D World out within the first year, and then the sales did pretty good that holiday. But Nintendo always said that software drives hardware, and I guess the PS4 is the opposite of that, or was in the beginning. But it's just Nintendo had a plan, and it looks like I predicted, I think even like a year ago now, like I figured they had a plan, and that everything was going to be calculated. And a lot of people were saying, well, they just don't know what they're doing right now. Why don't we know about the NX? Why don't, you know, everyone was freaking out this time last year. And it just seems like Nintendo had a plan, and they're executing it, and it's just everything's good right now. We'll see if it continues. Yeah, what was that one other point I wanted to make about Odyssey? Because we were talking about 3D platformers, and I had something. But anyway, I can't think of it. Yeah, Wolfenstein 2. I think that's probably gonna. I've seen some other reports. It's probably not gonna sell really well, which sucks because that is a single player game, and they were like, I don't know if you guys saw the interview with the creator. I think it was Vice, HBO's news. They were interviewing him about the uproar that the Nazi community was gonna, the backlash or the hornet's nest, and he's like, they're Nazis. Fuck them. Who cares? They're Nazis. Like, fuck them. Like, who cares if they get mad? Like, why would anyone care if they get upset?
Why does anyone care? It's baffling.
Like, why was that even a question? Like, if there's still Nazis around, that's a problem. That is the problem. Not that if they get upset about Wolfenstein 2's message about killing zombies.
Fuck Nazis.
Nazis. It does kind of suck if it's a great game. I haven't really seen anybody or heard any impressions.
It's got really good reviews everywhere, so.
That's the same bullshit as when people started fucking complaining that in Resident Evil 5 we're shooting black people in Africa. It's like, come on, it's what is there. That's what Wolfenstein has always been about Nazis. Like, why are you complaining now? You never complained in 20 fucking years.
Yeah, I don't get the
Resident Evil 5, when in the beginning people started complaining that you were shooting black people and shit.
Yeah. Well, I remember there was that one thing on, was it GTA San Andreas, where they had "kill the Haitians" in the dialogue. I was like, wait a minute, that's a little too much there. Yeah, it was a Haitian gang, but they didn't say Haitian gang; they said "kill the Haitians."
Like, I never heard the backlash about Resident Evil 5. Honestly,
seriously,
I never heard that. Yeah.
That was like all over the place because people got angry because it played, I think it played like Africa or something, and people were complaining that you were shooting like black people. They were like zombies
all over the place in France. We don't care about that stuff.
It's like, what did you expect them to be, like Chinese and shit? And it's the same thing now with the zombie, with the
Nazis. France, that's why.
No, that was like in America and shit.
I don't remember that, but yeah, I don't know. It's just
you'll find those articles really easy.
I was proud of the developer for saying that about the Nazis. But I hope
I'm buying the game twice.
I really hope that this isn't like
because
and maybe I mean I'm kind of considering buying. I might like pick it up on the PS4 or something, just because who knows when that Switch version will come out and how much. My stance on physical games with additional downloads. So I think that's going to be definitely going to happen with that game. We'll see, but
it depends, because they already said, for example, that was it that one that is just going to have a single player campaign, for example?
That only has a single player, yeah.
Yeah, so I think they could put that on a card, especially like next year or something. I think it definitely could fit on a card.
But we're talking about I was talking about Mario proving that a single player game can sell, but then you look at Wolfenstein 2 and they're gonna blame that. I guarantee you, like there's no multiplayer. But a lot of the multiplayer in some of these games that kind of tack it on, it's not really its main appeal. No one plays the multiplayer anyway. So I just, you got two examples on the opposite end of the spectrum, and I hope that Wolfenstein 2, if the reviews are good and people like it, it's gonna.
We need to make that game sell $1 million over here on the
Switch. Yeah. And like I'm starting to come around a little bit on Doom. We were talking on Saturday. We were playing Splatoon and ARMS, and he and Robert were playing NBA, and it was just awesome listening to you guys while you're playing. But we were talking about how Doom.
I never uploaded it, by the way.
Yeah, you never uploaded that.
I will.
Maybe but Rocket League and Doom are definitely could. Rocket League for sure, but I think we were talking about how Doom could potentially be like a sleeper hit the multiplayer, because there's nothing else like it on the Switch. There's no first-person online deathmatch games at all. So I'm waiting till you guys get it and you tell me if it's good. We don't even know if you're gonna be able to play with friends at this point on the Doom's multiplayer. We don't know anything. So, but somebody. Steve, I think you're pretty much guaranteed you're getting it, right?
I'm getting it this Friday. Yeah.
So yeah, well, if the multiplayer is active and it's friends lobbies and all that, then that could be something that could fill that multiplayer fix for Switch owners. So, all right, let's just finish up because it is November, and as Terrell talked about earlier, tomorrow he's picking up his first game of November with Sonic Forces. We kind of talked about this, I think, even last week, like the games we were getting. But it's one of those things, like too much a good thing here, and then you got the argument like, well, you don't have to buy all the games in November and stuff like that. Rive just got announced coming out November 17th, that long-awaited indie game that was supposed to be on Wii U. I don't know if you guys, it's like a dual stick shooter. Like, it was really good. The demo, I think it was 2015. They released the E3 where you had the game demos released that day. I forget what that program was called, and Rive was one of them. It was super awesome. Never hit Wii U. Well, that's coming. They just added that to the November mix, November 17th, along with like what's 17th? Skyrim and something else. So I'm just at the point, like I said in my juice opinions, I think Rocket League is the only guaranteed game I'm buying in November at this point. And I want to buy another one. I want to support one. I'm still just up in the air about which one.
Farming Simulator, man, come on.
Yeah, Farming Simulator, is that this week?
That's tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's already in store over here.
I know a guy who really swears by that game, so
I'm getting it. I don't know if I'm getting it. I'm not getting it tomorrow, but I'm getting it sometime within the next couple weeks.
T's just gonna buy every Switch game.
I'm buying everything, man.
So what's your guy Retro? You haven't been on. What's your list for November games that you're getting like in November, and then some maybe that come out in November you might be getting later?
As of now, because Xenoblade next month is gonna suck me dry with €100 fucking. What I'm getting this month for sure on launch is Skyrim. It like for the third fucking time, I'm gonna buy that again. I don't care. Like, I love the idea of the portable aspect. Like, it's a game you never stop playing, so I want to get it, and I definitely want to support Bethesda. that's the only one I'm gonna buy this month. I had Axiom Verge as well, but I think over here in my store, instead of this month, it moved it to the 1st of December for some reason, because that was on my list for an instant buy. But yeah, that moved to December. And I definitely want to get Doom, but that might not be on launch. So what I know for 100% I'm getting on launch for now is just Skyrim.
All right. Terrell, I know you're getting Sonic. I remember the other ones.
Sonic, Pokemon, Rocket League, more than likely. That one's, and Doom is in the air too. I just need to see how the game runs. If the game runs like fine and it's like a lock 30, I'm more likely that I'll be on the list too. What the fuck am I? I'm trying to think if there's anything else out that I need.
Resident Evil.
No. That
LA
if
Noire.
I get it, I'm not getting it in November. I'll say that because it comes out like 3 days before fucking Xenoblade. You're out of your mind. I need some lag time. Shit.
I'm considering Resident Evil Revelations 1, and I forget the file size of that. I'm just gonna go digital because I don't.
13, I think.
Yeah.
That'll definitely not leave me with much room. I got 19 gigs available on my internal, but that's not nothing I would get probably this year. But I've always wanted to play it, and I just always gave a reason. Always had excuses not to. I should have got it on the 3DS. I should have just played it back when it came out. But
that would imply you played your 3DS, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I've played it. I played Mario Kart 7 for 13 hours total.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Another Mario Kart game. Jeez,
yeah, that's the lowest,
13 hours. That's pretty
the
low.
lowest Mario Kart total, other than for a game I owned. I didn't own them all, but see, it's probably just easier for you to tell us which game you're not getting.
That's funny.
It's funny because just a piece of shit. That's why. No,
honestly, when I think about it, I can't remember what I am getting. I know it's Rhyme, Axiom Verge.
Oh, right, that does come out. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Doom, Farm Simulator, Lumo, and 5 other games. I
LA Noire.
No, not getting LA Noire. Nope.
Right, you had that. You already had it. Played it.
Yeah, I already beat that.
Skyrim.
Game. Oh yeah, Skyrim. Duh.
Sonic, probably.
Most likely.
Yeah, because you can't trust it.
There is another game I am getting on launch, which technically should be on November, but they keep switching it up. I really don't understand.
Switch.
And I really understand it's out already. But I think on the Switch for now it's for November, but some people say it's more delayed. I don't know. But if it comes in November at launch, even though I backed it and already own it on PC, is Battle Chasers. I'm gonna get that on launch as well.
Oh, Battle Chasers.
Is that
yes?
Oh, is it that
THQ game?
Yeah.
No.
I might fuck with that one actually.
What? And then there's a couple that just kind of get moved around. The physical copy of. Oh my gosh! Mighty Gunvolt. Yeah, Mighty Gunvolt, right?
Yeah.
The dual pack or whatever.
Yeah.
I was waiting on the physical copy for that.
You don't need it.
I thought it was gonna be. Why not?
You don't need it. You have enough games.
It's not about me.
Well, that's probably the problem.
I can't help that shit.
Yeah, we're sitting there after we got done. Play a little ARMS, play a little Splatoon, and then you played NBA. Then you're like, I'm gonna play that Redux, whatever.
I'm having a lot of fun with that game. I don't care what y'all say.
And I'm just like, it's crazy to me. Like, I mean, I'm not saying anything wrong with enjoying that game, but you got so many games. I was surprised that's the one that you were that was calling your name out of all the ones you bought recently.
This is just
it's a game that I remember like being interested in back in the day, and I just never bought it for whatever reason. And I just got More Fight too, which I love.
Yeah, I watched some of them. I was like, man, that looks good. Then I was watching this person try to scan this lizard that was walking away, and like a minute later, they still couldn't successfully scan. And I'm like, that just really didn't help that game for me out. But for $15, it seems like it's definitely worth the $15.
I had scan issues early, then I figured it out. It's just a thing you gotta, because they're moving and stuff. So, but I think I think the problem is he didn't learn the scan thing before he tried to do it. I think you have to like talk to the father figure guy. I can't remember his name right now. You have to talk to him about scanning before it works correctly. Because once I talked to him, it didn't matter that they were moving; it was working. So I think that had something to do with it.
Yeah, and Rhyme's one of those games that I've always been intrigued with the art style and stuff. I've honestly never watched more than 30 seconds of gameplay, so I don't really know what you do in the game, but it does look intriguing. Was that the one that's going to be $10 more physical? Is that a $50 game, $40 game? I can't remember. Rhyme, I know you got a great deal on it, but I can't remember what the price of that is. So it's gonna probably go digital with that anyway if I get it. So yeah, I think that's about all we got, unless we missed something.
We're not gonna speculate on the Xbox One X's in the greatness that will happen tonight.
Muhammad's not in the chat, otherwise we probably go there.
I like how that's the deciding factor if we can piss somebody off in the comment section.
I'm gonna say Xbox One X. You're probably better off just buying a Switch. And Mario Odyssey.
Yeah, but you're a Nintendo fan, but we can't trust your opinion.
No, that was in a review from a PC gamer. So.
Oh, that's what you were quoting. Okay.
Yeah.
I knew you were. I didn't know if you were quoting.
If you're gonna spend $500, you might as well get a system in about 4 or 5 games that are like top tier, maybe 3-4 games.
You know what's funny about the X? When I went to the city a couple of days ago in my store, they had like a pretty big giant poster there now in front of the store, and it had a picture of the Xbox, and it said like it had like 3 bullet points next to it, and it said like fucking I think 4K or some special GPU processor and like 6 teraflops and shit, and I see that. And people who see that, who want to buy a gaming console, your standard soccer mom, she sees this, oh man, I don't want a PC, I want a fucking console. Nobody's gonna buy that shit when you advertise it like that.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if this thing does anywhere near what the PS4 Pro did. I mean, it's $100 more. Yeah, it's more powerful, but if you look at Digital Foundry, you're like really breaking down the games that aren't like Xbox One exclusives, like they're still not 4K res. They're like 1440p, 1200p. You know, it's not for that much more, for $100 more, and for how much more of the GPU it has, because it's held back by that same CPU that both those systems have. Like I just don't get it.
That's just the resolution juice. You're not looking at the texture benefits.
Well, the real benefit could be
on the 360 games.
Well, the backwards compatibility. But
that surprised me. There is a lot of upgrading as far as that visual aspect. It's not just resolution.
The fact that it's only 13 games are supported out of the box.
New games,
well,
like
old.
Oh, well, Xbox.
No, it was 13 new games, but like
I'm talking about what games take advantage of the X that are like out
that's
of like
what I'm talking about,
Assassin's
like 13
Creed.
games.
You're talking like Assassin's Creed Origin.
It's 13 games. It's Assassin's Creed, Forza, Halo, Gears, Lucky's Tale, Zoo Tycoon, some Disney bullshit. I think Forza. I think I missed Forza.
You said it.
What the
you
fuck?
Said Gears?
Else?
Like
it's Gears. It's Assassin's Creed.
Said that.
I think.
Didn't they announce this?
Oh,
thing?
Shadow of War, isn't it?
Shadow of War, yeah.
Didn't they announce this thing at E3 2016?
No.
No. Wait, well, they announced they were working on.
They
called it
Scorpio.
Yeah.
And they could only 13 games are gonna at launch are ready for. Like, what have they been doing for?
Well, that they knew in the up-resing.
Well, that's not them. It's the developers have to do that. They have to patch that stuff in.
Yeah, the developers have to patch their games for it to even.
But they knew what the CPU, the GPU was at E3 2016, and these developers. It just tells you they don't care.
Well, they don't care. That's what I'm saying. What is the incentive?
Think about it. The PlayStation 4 hasn't gotten any. Most of the PlayStation 4 games haven't even got that many pro patches. So.
That's kind of the point I was trying to make.
It's going to be more about going forward than it is about, what it's going to make better. Like, who really cares? I guess some people care that old games that they beat already is going to be a little bit better looking. Like, really? Like,
well, I was intrigued when they started talking about significantly improved loading times. Now, if that's true, like that could be For me, that's
Oh,
way
that's true.
more
I've
of a
seen it.
selling point.
True.
Well, that
Like,
and
if it's-
apparently, supposedly there are a good chunk of
Yeah,
games.
Witcher 3 significantly loads faster.
Yeah, there are future games that already are going to get
Right.
ports. I'm just
Like
talking about
Resident Evil
right
7.
now.
If
You
Resident
said
Evil
this from the
7
start, like,
I'll just
Sorry.
finish this real quick. If Resident Evil 7's closed on my PS4, it takes 5 minutes, not exaggerating, not blowing this out of proportion. It takes like 2 minutes to get into the actual screen where I can say, load this save file. Then it's 3 minutes to load the save file. Like that made me not want to play the game anymore, especially if I like close the application. Now I finished the game. Once I learned that, I left it suspended. Of course, the power had to go out a few times and screwed that up. But like, I would never want to go back, put that game back in my system and turn it on. It's just ridiculous in this day and age. But if like Xbox One X was like, yeah, a game like Resident Evil 7 loads in 30 seconds, that's pretty vast. I mean, that's a pretty.
All I'm saying is
That would be a
HDR for
selling
Resident
point.
Evil 7.
HDR.
Yeah, that's the only support it's getting. It looks like.
Yeah.
But it would. I
I
think
must say, like,
I was gonna say
That's the
loading
other problem. A
times-
lot of it's inconsistent. Like certain games are getting 4K support, and some games are only getting HDR support, and then some games are getting the 60 frames per second support. Because from what I heard, Gears of War has the best support so far, with the choose between 4K 30 or like not higher than 1080p 60. Like
that's why it should be launching alongside the damn system. but
Anyway, a retro.
Gears of
I
War
cut you
good.
off.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, like, what we said is like devs don't care. We said this like a year ago, almost, or well, half a year maybe since I was on that. Devs don't care. They don't want to put in the extra work for nothing. I mean, it is pathetic that the PS4 Pro gets a lot of games and more that look better than on the Xbox One X. They get the bigger benefit. It's like people just don't care about it.
Yeah, it just proves that these developers really want more power than why they've had over a year and a half to prepare something for their game, and they just
because some of them can't afford to do it.
yeah,
or they just realize
And the
they're
reality, and the true reality is this: that it does even with the Xbox One X, Microsoft will still be home to the lowest common denominator in terms of ports and the highest common denominator, in the sense that the Xbox One is still the weakest between the two of them for most of those multiplats. So that means they got to make a bare bones, the lowest common denominator version for the Xbox and the highest common denominator. So
yeah, that's true.
you're not accomplishing, and on top of that, you're expecting all these developers to pay the extra money and resources for a console has yet to sell anything major. Because most of these games haven't right now literally just have, oh yeah, we're up-resing it to 4K. Like that's it. And it's not even native 4K. It's just we're gonna up-res it to 4K. Like I found a list.
I don't think that's actually true. Like I'm not the biggest tech guy as far as like I think because like I said, they're not patching anything for these old games. I'm talking like original Xbox and 360 games are getting a bump.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
That's just because the system is more powerful, and that's nothing new with Microsoft because 360 enhanced original Xbox games too, and there was no patching or anything special. It's
And
just
they don't have to patch
the software knows that there's better hardware, and so it compensates for that
because of the emulator. But for regular games like Witcher 3 and stuff, just the nature of the Xbox One X, they don't have to patch it in to get better frame rates and quicker loading times. That just happens by the design of the system. So maybe they, that's
I think going forward.
The only reason why I say that because I haven't heard anything about any of the frame rates being increased. That's
well,
it
doesn't increase. No, let me just clarify. It doesn't increase from 30 to 60. It keeps it at 30 instead of it dropping into 20.
It just makes it more stable.
It locks it at 30.
Yeah, just automatically.
It'll lock it at 60 if it's a 60 frame per second game. It'll lock it at.
I'm even looking at Witcher, and Witcher's is just 4K. It's in terms of
if you look at the actual enhancements, that's something they did extra. But the
I was watching Digital Foundry, and they went through.
Just runs at a lock 30 now on the Xbox One X, and loading times are reduced just automatically. They didn't have to do anything. So that's a benefit over the PS4, which didn't launch with that. The extra GPU was locked. So if you bought, what was it? The stupid dog big dog bird thing.
Oh, you're talking about Last Guardian?
Yeah, like if you played that hooked up to a 1080p TV, it literally played it as if it was a standard PS4. Like it had all the same frame rate drops and stuff, unless you like turned on or did the update of later on. But the base game, before their patch, it treated old PS4 games on the Pro like it was a standard PS4. It was identical in every way. And then they added the boost mode later on that could improve things without patches. So,
yeah.
But
I'm not gonna hate it. There's nothing wrong with the Xbox One X. I think it's a great system for the price, but the problem is it's fixing a problem that's just it's too late to try to fix. And it's fixing the problem of the Xbox One being weaker, which is 4 years. I mean, that's
4 years late.
This is 4 years late. I mean, this is, maybe if you came out last year with the Pro, you might have had people would have cared a little bit more. But you're launching a year after the Pro even, and it's just like, do people care? And then there's a case of exclusive content. Like, yeah, there's some people that'll care that they get to play the quote unquote best version of the multiplat, but multiplats, if everybody has them, what's the deciding factor? It's the exclusives. So, if you really care about multiplats being the best, you get a PC anyway. So it's like
there'll be a group of people that Battlefront 2, it's gonna look and play best on Xbox One X. I'm gonna buy an Xbox One X. There is
a group of people. I listen to them every week.
And Doom's getting a 4K and still at 60. So I mean, I don't run it at 4K. I don't have a 4K monitor, but when you bump that game up to ultra settings at 60, it's a really good looking game. That's why when I first saw the Switch footage, from what I was used to seeing to what I was to the Switch footage, I immediately noticed like the significant drop off. So that's nice little things, but yeah, that's not worth, like if you already had the PS4 or something, like I just don't see a lot of people going out and spending $500 on an Xbox One 4 years after it came out just to have some higher resolution and stuff. Like you said, it's too late. If they would have done this last year,
2 years in,
2 years
3
in,
years tops,
and fixed that gap in power and had the most power, it might have cut into the PS4. But at this point, it's like drawing dead in poker.
Yeah. It's not even about cutting into a PS4. That's just not going to happen anyway. It's about increasing your install base, exciting more people to come to your console at this point. And it's too late to do that. This is year 4. It's a little too late to increase that install base with quote unquote exciting new hardware. So it's unfortunate.
And I completely forgot it was coming out, and did not plan on talking about it on this podcast. But sorry to any Nintendo fans that maybe didn't want to hear about it. But it's like, it's part of gaming. It's coming out. I don't think it's.
If you're a gamer, you should be excited to hear about new hardware.
It's just weird. It's just the PS4 Pro is weird. This feels even weirder because it's an even bigger jump over the previous version.
It's like, why not just wait a year and come out with a new system that's backwards compatible with the Xbox One? Wouldn't that have made more sense?
That would have made a lot more sense. All they had to do, everything could have stayed the same. They put a current gen type of CPU in it, and that would have made a world of difference for developers. I mean,
and you could have came in at $500 a year from now with the emulator for Xbox One on it. So I just don't. It just doesn't make any sense.
I'm watching some footage of Super Lucky Tail, and when he's just running around, kind of just this one little area, it actually looks pretty cool. If it had good level design and some challenge, it does look like a game that would be interesting to me. Just random. Somebody, I was on Twitter, somebody shared a video, and it looks like a colorful world in this little like hub world. It looked like all it needed was some level design probably, and it probably would have been pretty good, or at least decent. Anyway, get on out of here because my Detroit Lions are playing Monday Night Football. Probably losing, who knows? But yeah, so let's get some final thoughts, get on out of here, and we'll start with Terrell.
I gotta go fast. Yeah, I think that's
Let me ask you something before we go any further. So, all the Mario fans, or all the Nintendo fans, Mario fans, were just the night before Odyssey were just on cloud nine. They're just geeked. What's your hype level on the dawn before Sonic Forces, the first 3D Sonic game, really in 4 years, the true like platforming Sonic game?
It's like a 7, probably.
Really?
That sounds exciting.
It sounds like a 7. It's like I want to play the game. I want to play the game. That's nothing else. I want to play the fucking game. All right, but I recognize. But it's like I've been saying since the damn game got announced. It's not the gameplay style I think they should have went with, and I feel like that has kind of killed my excitement to an extent. I'm only kind of getting excited again. I would say I went through and now I've regained excitement for the game due to seeing more footage of it. But that's also because I've just come to terms that this is not the game that I wanted, but it is a game that I can enjoy. Because that's like saying I can't enjoy it is like saying I can't enjoy Generations of Colors, which I enjoy the hell out of Generations of Colors. So I'm looking forward to the game. That's not even an argument. It's just more of I probably would say it's probably on the same. I probably would say I was more excited for Odyssey, but that's only because Odyssey was just so fucking new. Like everything about that game just screamed new. Whereas here it's just like, oh, we're just retreading on gameplay mechanics that I've already played before. So that's the thing. Yeah.
You don't know how happy it made me to hear you say that. That you're more excited for Odyssey than
that's because Odyssey had better marketing. We saw more of Odyssey, and Odyssey was a bunch of new shit. And for someone who doesn't play Mario, even some of the callback stuff would kind of get lost on me because I didn't play as many 3D Marios as everyone else. So that's the reason. Odyssey was more because it felt like it looked like a completely new experience. Whereas Sonic, I've played Sonic since I was like, what, 4 or 5. And especially the generation style I've already played. So it's like I can't. It's also a style that when I got exposed to Lost World, I actually prefer Lost World's gameplay style. So yeah, those are the things, and that's what compounds it. Doesn't mean I'm still playing the shit out of the game. That's just.
And the Sonic team, let's just be real, they're not what they used to be.
They're not consistent is what pisses me off. It's not like they can't make good games. They just can't consistently make good games because they keep either letting the fan base dictate whatever the fuck they need to make, or they keep thinking we need to change the gameplay style instead of just expanding upon it. That's also because the generation style is somewhat limited into how much expansion you can really do, which is why I prefer the Lost World style. But I'm not going to get into that rant today. I'll do that later after I beat the game and review it. Yeah, good podcast, fun talk. Everybody go out and get your Xbox One X, guys, and sit out there in your midnight launches and whatnot. Sit there and play your Call of Duties on your. Oh, wait a minute, you don't have a portable system to play it on while you're waiting. I mean, yeah. Almost
on your phones.
Play to win.
Put on your smartphones while you're.
Oh, by the way,
portable laptops.
Just to kick off the little movie conversation that's probably going to happen anyway. Saw Thor Ragnarok, best one out of the four films.
I ain't saying much.
Go watch it.
That can be hard though.
It's not a high bar. It's not a high bar, but it's something. Okay, it's something.
Yeah, that's cool.
I'm curious what Robert thought of it because he didn't say anything. Usually he's like, "Oh, it's my favorite movie of the year."
He said he liked it.
Well, he has a review up on his movie.
Is it his
channel.
favorite movie of the year though? I can't remember.
No, I don't think it is.
Okay.
I doubt it will.
I think Rob said something similar though. Rob said like he loved it.
Yeah. I'm not gonna say anything about that. No comment.
Look at that shade, man.
Retro Death. Final thoughts.
Yeah, just a great podcast. I love talking about Mario and Xbox stuff is always fun. Like I said, I have a video up tomorrow where I talk a lot more about the Mario stuff. I'm gonna throw some shade at you guys and shit. And that's it.
All right. Mezza T.
This has been a tough season for me. As a New York sports fan, Giants are atrocious. Just gave up 51 points to who cares? The Yankees. They were great this year. They couldn't quite get there, but they're great. Their future looks bright. And yeah, Knicks. Yeah, do we even need to mention the Knicks? So it's been tough.
Welcome to the sports podcast.
At least Nintendo is that team. Those
Mm-hmm.
teams, they're doing great, and it's helping me get through the rough times in my sports. But I was blown away by Odyssey. I just want to say, we all know about the One Up Girl track, but there's another track that to me is equally as good. It's near the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
It's a singing track. It's a just like One Up Girl.
It's like a punkish, like female.
Mm-hmm. And I was completely not expecting it. That whole sequence.
It didn't even feel Nintendo at all.
I didn't feel Nintendo at all. And
that's not anime waifu as shit. That stuff.
I was smiling like a damn Cheshire cat the whole time. I was just like, this is unbelievable. Fantastic. And,
let's just say the Mario's capture towards the end, in that sequence was pretty awesome.
That was spoiled to me, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's what I was spoiled.
Thumbnail.
Yeah.
You saw the thumbnail too? I was so pissed off.
Fuck me. I think when I said it
let's
before
not
the
talk
game came
about
out.
it anymore in case.
Yeah, I don't want to ruin it for anybody else. Pay no attention to that. But fantastic ending, quote unquote ending, because there's so much more to do. I've already started doing that.
I love
the game is phenomenal, man. I think we mentioned this before, or at least early in the Switch's life, and it's still pretty early. We're only 7 months in. But I'm getting those N64 feelings again. And some people will understand that, some won't. Like, N64 is trash. I mean, third-party games, but yeah. But it's just, to me, like that game-changing kind of like all-in gamer feel that I had starting with N64. So it's very cool, especially at my old gray beard age.
it is.
But yeah, play Nintendo fools.
As much as we kind of talked about some of the things about Odyssey maybe aren't my favorite, but for the most part, like 98% of the time, the game's as good as any, the top 3 Mario games, and it has those awesome moments. And even though I said I still firmly believe Galaxy 1 is still the most sequel-y feeling or direct sequel to 64. For me personally, playing Odyssey gave me that playing Mario 64 for the first time feeling that I didn't get from playing 3D World. I love 3D World's level design, the music, everything I think is superior to Odyssey, but playing Odyssey, I got that giddy feeling like back playing the Mario 64, bringing that home for the first time. So it's definitely some pretty cool stuff post beating it, quote unquote. And then my favorite thing to do right now is I'm following a certain somebody to all the kingdoms, and this person's like, oh, I want to check out this kingdom that I saw before. I want to go back to it. So I'm going in that order, and it's just giving me a little incentive, and I really enjoy it. I've been taking a bunch of not screenshots, but the actual camera photo mode. I'm not going to upload them until a month from now or later.
Yeah, me too.
Because I got some really cool. I did do a black and white photo that hopefully didn't spoil too much for people, but yeah, I mean it's a great game, and it's one of those you can't. I'll just get one more moon, and then like an hour later, I'm still playing. I'm mad at myself that I'm still awake, still up. But I just want to give a shout out, you guys, Twilight, Robert. We had a kind of a spontaneous game night Saturday, thanks to T.
Thanks to me.
And I just got to say, ARMS is. I could play that game all freaking night. Like, I have such a blast. It's not the type of game I'll never go in and go play randoms ever again. Like, if you look at my stats, 128 matches with friends, 0 in party mode, and 0 in ranked. Like, I just don't care about playing just randoms and then the rank mode anymore.
Yeah.
But playing with a group of friends, like I I just love that game. It looks better than I remember. I don't know why. It just looks better every time I play it. I doubt they patch anything graphically. You know, there was updates, but
it's clean, man. Clean ass game.
It just looks so good, and it plays so good. And Terrell, Twilight, and I kept playing when you went and played basketball with Robert.
I went to school with Robert in basketball.
Mm-hmm. It's so funny hearing how he played. But yeah, just like we put Twilight, Terrell, and I probably played the most together. Out of, you know, T's only been a few times we played in the beginning, and then this weekend. So we've kind of balanced out, I think. Twilight, Terrell, and I are kind of all around the same. I feel like we trade wins a lot, and we kind of learned each other's tactics and stuff. And it's just like, it's kind of a forgotten game, but man, it's honestly easily my number 3 game on the Switch right now. It's not far behind Odyssey for me.
Well, I'm borderline to say it's my favorite Switch game at this point.
It's just so good. It did have a steep learning curve, though. I did not like it in the beginning. I was losing a lot, and it's won me over.
It's funny because I was winning a lot in the beginning. Now I suck.
Yeah, well, you were actually doing pretty good in the beginning.
Yeah, my thing is that controls. I can't. Yeah, I can't play it with a Pro Controller. Like, I have to do motion. I'm stuck in motion, and you guys are all Pro Controller guys. So maybe you know. I don't want to say you have an advantage, but
you definitely do, because I've gone back.
Well, you have an advantage, and I just, even with that, even knowing that, I just cannot get the feel of playing it with the controller. So I'll just take my L's, but yeah, I have fun. I have fun playing it.
And for anybody that's maybe interested, and if you're like T, you're struggling with the Pro Controller. For me, it clicked when I started using the triggers to punch instead of A and B. That's because then I could jump and dodge and punch like effortlessly with having my left and right trigger finger on the ZLZR button, and that's when it completely clicked with the Pro Controller for me. I know some people swear by A and B for punching, but when I started using the triggers, that's when I was like, I went from losing most of the time to starting to compete to starting to win. So
yeah, that's why I use triggers, because it just feels better coming from motion, because it's just like, oh, left and right punch, you know. So.
And one of these days, we got to get Robert to try somebody other than Min Min. He's still 100% of the time plays
It's not
Min
gonna fucking happen
with the dragon and the
because he's a piece of shit.
And I was the only one that, like, I had a draw and then I beat him, but he was just tearing it up for a long time in the beginning. So, but it was fun. I
won a couple matches.
Yeah, in the beginning though, he was winning, like him and Terrell.
Yeah, I think Juice.
And then he beat me the first couple times, and then
I was the first one that beat him, I think, right? Yeah.
No, I thought it was first. It was a draw.
Oh no, it was you guys, yeah.
But it's just a testament of. I still say ARMS as one of the best online experiences I've ever had in gaming, as far as the lobby system. And yeah, we were chatting via Hangouts. You know, it's missing that. It's missing messaging built into the system. But as far as just playing the game, having a lobby system, and everything else that added with the badges and stuff and the new character, like, it's just the total package for me. And it's just such a flawless online experience. When you do the arena with 3 people, then 2 people would fight, and then the third person, you watch the match, and you can change instantly.
Do you even remember getting like a drop connection at all?
No.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had a drop.
I never even noticed any lag. Like, I've never noticed anything.
Never dropped in that game.
But Mario Kart 8, the first race I tried, got unable to connect to the user, and then connection error.
We call that inconsistent.
And I forgot to mention that, like, I hadn't played that game in forever. I raced 7 races, and I got first place in every single one in a worldwide race, and that's never happened. I usually rarely get back to back. And then I turned it off because you guys were wanting to play something else. But anyway, it's been a long final thoughts. Great podcast, good discussion. It's just good to be a Nintendo fan right now. I don't think like anybody can deny that. Like, there's just, for Nintendo fans especially, there's just a bunch of great games. And then this month you get a bunch of third-party games. And then December we get Xenoblade, which could probably end up being my number 2 or 3 game of the maybe. I mean, I wouldn't expect it to be 1, but there's just so much to look forward to. So we're going to have a lot to talk about each week with hands-on impressions. You know, next week we'll have Sonic Forces and Doom impressions probably. So look forward to that, and we'll see you guys next time.